Hi, beautiful family. Welcome back to my channel. This is me, the Infinity Midwife, coming to you once again. I hope you're taking care of your minds, your hearts, and your whole being. Okay, I'm making this video because um, I was called to do this video. I've been pondering on it for a minute, but I feel that I'm ready to actually speak on it, or I just feel inspired to make a video about it. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but I feel like it is part of the collective shadow. I know that I was on pause for quite some time as I was more focusing on the type of messages or inspiration or type of work that I was inspired to do. I feel like I'm being called to speak on this specific video that I'm gonna share with you guys today. Okay, so um, one thing I want to do, I want to emphasize in this video is that it's not to throw shades to mental illness. It's not to throw shade to the institutions that were dealing or treating mental illness. I'm here to just bring a form of light, okay? And to just have you change your perspective and open up and brighten up your perspective at the possibility of looking at mental illness as something that is not, you know, it's not a burden as people want to look at it as, okay? I feel there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of stereotype. There's a lot of labeling when it comes to mental illness. And, people are quite judgmental of people that have been getting some form of diagnosis or some form of label as it pertains to mental illness. And I'm just here to bring a bit of light to that matter, okay? Now, I'm not going to take myself as an example. I'm just going to take myself away from the equation because I want to remain objective as much as possible, okay? We live in a society that, has has only established institutions, medical institution, hospitals for less than 100 years, okay? For less than 100 or 150 years. So these institutions of, treating people, helping people heal, or performing surgeries on people is very recent. Okay, it does not date back to ancestral knowledge. It does not date back um, to thousands of years. Okay, yes, there may be practices that have been that has been borrowed from certain traditions around the world, but the modern medicine as we know it today, it is not for the purpose of healing. It is for the purpose of maintaining. Okay, and that is a clear distinction that needs to be done here, because when we look at how these westernized or modernized society were built, they were not built with uh, first societal interest of solving people's issues, of healing people, of having wholesome individuals living in these societies. Okay, these societies were built upon the notion that in order for that society to thrive economically, financially, we need to keep people hooked, okay, on some form of illusion of healing, okay? And so, yes, modern westernized medicine is based off of plants. There's a whole notion that um, research has been made and has been done in order to uncover how the effect of plants are very potent when it comes to solving or healing certain ailments into people and stuff like that. And I do recognize that, in these modern medicine or modern form of medicine. But with the notion that patent needed to be exercised, or formulas needed to be patented, or research needed to have patents in order to create certain formulas, or in order to have certain formula available that were sold by those big companies, by those big pharmaceutical companies. I feel like, again, it is done in a way that is not to bring healing and to have wholesome individuals living in the societies. It's more so to keep the wheel turning, okay, economically and financially. So when you get to the basic of why these Western modern societies are thriving, it is not it is not based of the interest of you know helping individuals become wholesome in terms of their health. Okay, it's very much so the interest that is focused towards economically and financial gain. Okay, and that's very important to understand, because once you understand that, you can then take that perspective that when you go into a hospital, when you go and consult a doctor, yes, you want to find a solution to your ailment, but you got to keep at the back of the mind that the solution that the institution is going to provide you, whether it's a professional physician, a doctor, they're going to come in with a solution that is going to maintain that ailment alive. Okay, it is not going to be there to kill it off completely. Okay, this is why most of the times when you go see doctors, physicians, professionals in these medical fields, they will give you time, they will give you lapse of time for the ailment to progress, for the ailment to evolve. Yes, to maybe, place a better diagnosis on the type of ailment, but I feel like it's also to allow the mutation, or for the ailment to actually become even worse, so that when you actually go back to the doctor, well, then there's a real reason why we should take a look at it, and maybe we should attribute or give it a surgery, or give it more economical tools that is going to be benefiting that institution. Okay, so that is why I like to say your health should be your number one concern, and it should not be predicated amongst what these professionals will tell you. It should be predicated, like your health should be a lifestyle. It should not be something that you just wake up one morning and be like, oh my God, my this part of my body is hurting. I'm always having headaches, I'm having migraines, this and that, my heart, like, it should not be a drastic ailment, or a drastic form of disease that really brings you into this awareness that something is wrong with you. Okay, health is a lifestyle, and once you understand that health is a lifestyle, you understand that there's going to be a series of choices that's going to bring you into putting your health right at the forefront of all your decisions, so that you can better take care of yourself, and not wait for a situation to be extremely worsened before you actually become aware. Okay, and that you actually start dealing with it. But because, again, we live in a society that tells us that there's no such thing as wholesomeness. There's no such thing as wholesome individuals, right? Because we are living in many societies where we want to consume, we're there to consume, we want fast paced consuming products and services. We want a lifestyle that goes at the same pace. We want a, healthy lifestyle that is also instant gratification. Hence the reason why the beautification industry is at its most time high. Not to throw shades to people that choose that option, but it's just to tell you the mindset in which we are slowly transitioning. Okay, so there are people that are taking their health seriously, and that actually becomes a lifestyle. And then there are people that are going to want to gravitate towards, you know, instant remedies or instant ways of dealing with the ailment instead of, have a deep, thorough healing. It's just going to be a way to live with that disease and not to thoroughly get rid of it or to heal it. Okay, so that's a clear distinction to make here. Now, when it comes to mental illness, when you understand the type of society we are living in, we are not living in a wholesome society where health is at the forefront of governmental concerns, of societal concerns. It is not. It is not a main concern. Okay, economical gains, financial profit is at the forefront of all organization institution that are ruling these societies. And once you understand that we are living in, you can actually say that we are living in a sick society. Okay, whether you want to realize it or not, whether you're comfortable with saying it or not, whether you want to realize it or not, we are ourselves living in a sick society. When you find the amount of stress that we undergo to make ends meet, when you understand that you have people that have two, three jobs to maintain a certain lifestyle, right? When you understand that there's this fast paced moving, several industries that are there to sell you products and services, you understand that, there's sickness. There are many, many factors that can bring you into sickness, okay? Because, this way of living or these different types of lifestyle that are highly promoted in these highly developed societies are not there for your well-being. They're there for financial gain. And when you understand that, you also understand that your mental can take a hit. Okay, if you are living in a society where all resources are have equal, or are measured equally and are utilized equally, and that are sustainable, that are very much valued, you understand that, the human resources is at the forefront of every decision of that specific society. But because we were trained again through that era of bondage to live in societies where health is not the main concern, you can come to the conclusion that if health is not a main concern of a society, then maybe sickness is. Okay? And when you get that, you have to come to the type of mental dysfunction it requires out of the individual to thrive in those societies. I did not say mental function, I said mental dysfunction. Because when you're living at a rapid lifestyle, or when you're living and you're thriving, or you're keeping up with that fast pace of living, whether it's how you eat, how you maintain yourself, how you think that you take care of yourself, how you stress yourself in order to meet a certain lifestyle or meet a certain criteria of, social status, economical status, it will play on your mental. How? Or you become emotionally avoidant. You don't have time to deal with your emotions. When you're on a fast paced lifestyle, you don't have time to deal with your emotions. Your emotions comes next, like comes second, right? Because you need to attain those goals. And when you need to attain those goals, it's very mechanical is very automated, is very robotic. It's rinse repeat processes. It's also um, it's also a lot of manipulation in order to attain those goals, and that is on a constant cycle. It's on a constant repeated cycle, whether it's weekly, whether it's daily, whether it's monthly, whether it's yearly, right? You got yearly goals, you got monthly goals, you got weekly goals, you got daily goals. So it's an ongoing wheel that's constantly turning. So when you become emotionally avoidant, don't think that those emotions are just, they're somewhere in your shadow piling up. Situations that you're dealing with that you don't really want to deal with. Um, Circumstances, people, environment that you don't want to deal with. You don't want to deal with your own emotions, your own responses, or your own reaction to certain situations, certain energies, certain individuals. So what do? Right? You shut them down. You shut them down. You throw them in your shadows. You don't deal with them. You don't deal with them. Well, those forms of responses to your emotional well being, or maybe to your physical well being, or maybe to your mental well being, all those forms of denial, or those forms of dissonance will will trigger a form of sorry about that will trigger a form of um, dissonance within your body. Okay, so when you're constantly under a form of pressure in order to perform, in order to attain a certain goal, you do not allow your mental to um, to reset, right? Because you're constantly shoved in so many different ways. Like there's a huge chatter in your head as to how you're going to attain those goals. Emotionally, you're totally avoidant, right? And then sexually, you're maybe all over the place because, you don't really have time to mingle with people, but you're probably going to then fuck a lot more. You're going to have, fuck buddies. You're going to find way of release yourself sexually, right? But as you keep on going through that wheel of fast-paced living, it's going to at some point have you hit a brick wall, because there's going to be so much dissonance, meaning disalignment. Your mind is going to be so much to the left or so much to the right from your heart that is going to be completely to the left or completely to the right. And when I say completely to the right or completely to the left, I'm speaking of, we have a side or part of ourselves that is more masculine and a part of ourselves that is more feminine. So depending on how we deal with our internal resources, right? If we are so avoidant in one area or in another, it's going to create this disalignment. So how we deal with our mental, are we going to be more in the masculine side of ourself or in the more feminine, right? So it's going to be depending on how we deal with certain resources. We have to find this balance, this middle point where everything is in alignment, mentally, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, right? But if we're constantly avoiding things, we're just throwing things left and right, we're not dealing with them, right? Or we're overworking, certain aspects of our energetic points, or of our internal resources, it's gonna have us hit a wall, okay? And because we're leaving the era of bondage, we are we are coming into a space where we're gonna have to deal with those emotions that we were probably shutting down for like the last 20 years of our life, 30 years of our life, 40 years of our life. The whole mental chatter of memories that we had not digested, things that were said, right? Judgments, ego, all the things of the mental are going to be resurfacing. The way we were dealing with our creative energy, our sexual energy, if we were being overly sexual and not really taking accountability for our sexual creative powers, it is going to come back to the surface, whether it's through a form of surprise pregnancies, whether it's through a form of um, um, energetic ties or attachments, whether through a form of disease, a form of STD, or a form of energetic attachment because we've been giving to different people our sexual energy. So all these things matter, right? And I cannot stress enough the importance of energy is a thing. Although we do not see it, we cannot taste it, we can feel it, we can discern it because it is a thing. It is a real thing. And when we come to our mental capacity, okay, a lot of people today are being diagnosed with mental illness. Now, it is not a surprise to find out that the society in which we've chosen to live in is a sick society. So, if we are being diagnosed with mental illnesses, this is just our energetical body or our mental energy adapting to our environment, adapting to our external environment. Okay. Now, I want to make it clear here. Um, there are all types of mental illnesses. There are some that are very severe, and there are some that are not as severe. And the reason why I want to make a distinction between the two is because those that are really severe is because not only there was probably an imbalance, a chemical imbalance, or a hormonal imbalance, or a genetic imbalance that brought that person in her way of dealing with stress, with heavy mental chaos, that brought that person to have this heavy dissonance in her mind or in her mental, that brought her into, or him into, you know, having a heavier form of diagnosis. Okay. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna do a video part 2.